Hello and welcome to some more Crytek vs CIG Star Citizen lawsuit stuff. There's been a load of confusion, speculation and downright misinformation flying around about the case since day one, but especially since Crytek's motion to dismiss their own case has come up recently. I've done a video going over that in some detail, but I'm not a lawyer. I have, however, read all of the legal documents available to me, and I want to have a bit more of a rant and explain at you for a bit. When I say all the legal documents available to me, I mean, obviously about this case. I'm not some sort of weird law savant. Crytek are suing CIG currently for developing 2 games with 1 license, as well as using the CryEngine without fully crediting Crytek. At least that's what most of the points boil down to currently. And this is my understanding of the documents as I've read them. This has changed from what they were originally suing CIG for, Star Citizen for, to some extent, as they've had parts of their case dismissed and refined other parts. And that's sort of to be expected with the length of the case so far. But today I wanted to look at some specifics of what Crytek have said in their most recent documents. Did CIG switch over to the Lumberyard Engine because Crytek say they didn't? Crytek imply that Squadron 42 was supposed to be out by now, and that's one of the main reasons that they are suing CIG, or were suing CIG, and they should be allowed to dismiss their own case without prejudice at this stage. Because of that, because they were expecting that. Just to reiterate that without prejudice means that a case can be brought back to court at any time, at a later date. I want to also talk about what's been found in Discovery and some of the reasons why Crytek might not want to pay CIG's legal fees, as if they need a reason to not want to spend money. But we'll be talking all about that and a bit more, and sort of like defining stuff, I think, more accurately. Crytek were originally suing CIG for something a bit different than they are now. So there have been some updates to Crytek versus CIG, the Star Citizen lawsuit recently, and currently Crytek are trying to dismiss their own case without prejudice, asking the court for the ability to refile their case later without condition. The reason that Crytek are having to do this is because, according to them, in Discovery, from their responses they got from CIG, they discovered that part of their case wasn't ripe enough. They were waiting for Squadron 42 to be released, is what they said, and part of the response that CIG gave Crytek, although redacted, seems to suggest that Squadron 42 is either not near completion, or that CIG do not have a release date for that. So Crytek are saying that they, based on the media that Squadron 42 has around it, and that CIG have said that they were expecting Squadron 42 to be released by now, by the trial, or already, or whatever. It is certainly true that it has been implied that Squadron 42 is going to be, or should have been, released by now. Although, obviously, if you're following the game, then you know that they've pushed it back a few times, and now, for quite a while, they haven't really had a release date for Star Citizen as a full product, and Squadron 42 Episode 1. So Crytek are arguing that they should be able to bring their case back after Squadron 42 has been released, and they're also arguing basically that they shouldn't have any conditions put on that having their case dismissed, and they shouldn't have to pay CIG's legal fees with the $500,000 bond that the court currently hold, which is supposed to pay CIG's legal fees in this sort of event, I suspect, or in the event that CIG's the prevailing party, they get their legal costs potentially paid for them. So Crytek want to hold all this, they want to stay this, they want to wait, they want to pause everything and bring the action back later. Now, there's a lot of issues with these statements, though. Number one being that Crytek are saying that they are suing based on the assumption that Squadron 42 was already going to be released by now, and that they will refile once the game is out. Now, why didn't they sue when the game was out anyway? Why didn't they wait until it was out? It wasn't out before. Moreover, in the original complaint to the court, which I will link down below, there was requests for prayers of relief, basically what Crytek want as an outcome from the court. What they're saying, if we win, can you give us this? So they said, entering a permanent injunction enjoining and requesting defendants from continuing to possess or use the copyrighted work, and a preliminary and permanent injunction requiring the defendants and all those acting in concert or participation with defendants from infringing or encouraging, aiding or abetting others to infringe the copyrighted work. They later go on to say in some other documents, again which I will link down below, Crytek is fairness driven, not money driven, and if fairness ultimately means nothing more than stopping CIG in its tracks because monetary relief is not available, that would meet Crytek's objectives. That does not sound to me like a company who was only suing because they thought Squadron 42 was going to be released by now. Far from it. It sounds to me like a company that was considering stifling or preventing continued development of it. So, there was a quote that's being thrown around quite a lot to do with Lumberyard. Basically, CIG lied about the Lumberyard switch and that Crytek have somehow proved this. So I saw a lot of people posting that the switch to Lumberyard Engine never occurred for Star Citizen. And basically, in the last few documents that we've had from Crytek, they said, at the outset of this case, CIG had publicly claimed it had switched to using the Lumberyard engine for both Star Citizen and Squadron 42, but was forced to confirm during this litigation that no such switch had taken place. And then it links a document from earlier on in the litigation. The fact that CIG denied Crytek the credits to which it was due under the party's GLA, Game License Agreement, without actually switching game engines is the basis for Crytek's credit claims in this case. People online were saying that this was something Crytek learnt in Discovery and that the Lumberyard switch had not taken place and has not taken place. However, this is far from the truth. The actual statement CIG made that Crytek are referencing is before Discovery. It's nothing that Crytek have magically discovered that was hidden away. I've linked the Crytek response to the Bond motion document down below, the reference here. But it's in reference to the similarity of Crytek engine code and Lumberyard code, because basically it is the same. Crytek sold their engine, or one of their branches of their engine, to Amazon Lumberyard, which became Lumberyard, and basically it's the same. And that's one of the reasons that CIG moved over to Lumberyard Engine, because it was effectively a more supported engine with a more stable studio, at least at that time. So the exact statement was, Crytek makes much of the fact that the code is the same, but this is only because Crytek cashed out on the code by selling it to Amazon, making CIG's license from Amazon possible. If Crytek did not want to take credit for the code, Crytek should have not sold the code to Amazon. Suing Amazon's licensees is not the solution. That statement does not state that the change to Lumberyard never took place. Crytek is misrepresenting that, or at least the internet is misrepresenting that. CIG have stated that they have moved over to the Lumberyard engine and are developing their own tools and code for it as well. I believe that to be true. I believe they have moved over to the Lumberyard engine. There might be an errant line of code. There might be some of the engine still using Crytek code it's not supposed to. I don't know about that. That's a possibility. But people taking the other statement out of context and saying that somehow Crytek, through Discovery, have discovered that they haven't actually changed, they're still using CryEngine as their only engine or whatever, is silly, in my opinion anyway. Crytek were certainly not referencing anything that they found in Discovery. If they had, they would continue to sue. The other thing is that Crytek don't have to refile. So this is the thing. They could get the case dismissed and just not refile if they decide not to, and then they wouldn't be liable for any of Star Citizen's legal fees. Star Citizen could sue for that, maybe, in the future, who knows? It's my understanding that this is just posturing for a better settlement to fix deficiencies in Crytek's case and to get into a better position if they do or don't want to sue, whatever they want. It gives them better options, better choice. They could say, look, CIG changed the code enough and released Squadron 42 as part of the Star Citizen launcher, and that's because of the litigation originally, so, you know, it's all good. All's well that ends well, but then they wouldn't be liable for CIG's fees and that sort of stuff. The other point being made that I saw is Squadron 42 under the GLA, the Game License Agreement for Crytek, should have not been marketed or developed as a standalone game. In my opinion, Squadron 42 has been sold as a standalone game, as you could certainly buy it separately from buying a Persistent Universe game package. Obviously, the game's not out yet, and there's lots of maybes and ifs going on. However, assuming Star Citizen has moved over to the Lumberyard engine, they can probably do whatever they want under that license with Amazon, and that's one of the main things with this litigation in this case, is that Crytek are saying they either haven't moved over to Amazon Lumberyard, or they weren't allowed to move over to Amazon Lumberyard, or they're developing games using CryEngine and they're not supposed to, whereas Star Citizen are saying, we've moved away from that license, we've moved away from that contract and agreement, we're now with Amazon Lumberyard, and it's no concern of Crytek what we do outside of the CryEngine. Crytek are arguing that they shouldn't have to pay CIG's fees at this stage for the legal costs, and they are going to refile this lawsuit once Squadron 42 releases. But there are just some contradictions in what they are currently arguing. It is Crytek's lawyers' job to get their client the best possible position, and what they're trying to do here is that. I won't attribute malice towards any of Crytek's staff. I think that Hunt Showdown is actually quite a good game. If you think this lawsuit is a cash grab, then welcome to the world of contracts. They're not moral obligations that exist between people. They're there to sort of like measure damages and prevent actions in case of a breach. It's mostly about getting money from the other party and measuring how much money you're supposed to get. Crytek are saying that continuing with Discovery now would be costly to both companies, so they want to sort of like stop Discovery, dismiss their own case. But it appears that Crytek are also seeking a protective order or to delay depositions of their CEO and corporate designees that CIG have requested if the motion to dismiss isn't granted, which I found at least interesting. So this is not to say that Crytek haven't been wronged in some way. I don't know. There may be some truth to at least some of their statements. They may genuinely believe that something is awry or wrong in at least something. However, their case does look very weak. I don't know for sure if all the code in Star Citizen and Squadron 42 is 100% Lumberyard and new code, or as I said, an errant string of CryEngine code is there that CIG shouldn't really be using without crediting Crytek, because if it's there, then they probably should. The only thing that looks like Crytek has found in Discovery is that Squadron 42 is something about it's redacted. Potentially, this probably means that it doesn't have a release date yet, and CIG are unsure if it's going to have Star Citizen access in some form with Squadron 42 packages. So, or if it's going to be part of the Star Citizen launcher. Maybe they're part of the same launcher, maybe they are not. Has this lawsuit caused Squadron 42 to take longer to come out or slow its development? Well, maybe. Even if it's very minor, it's certainly drained someone's work day away. Is Squadron 42 being delayed specifically because of the lawsuit or for some sneaky legal reason? Unlikely at best. Will Crytek have their case dismissed without condition? Unlikely in my opinion. I would expect them to have to pay CIG's legal costs to some degree and probably have a couple of points also dismissed, removed, some conditions put on their dismissal if they do that. And you need to remember that Crytek has already had a major part of their case dismissed by the court with their colourful interpretation of the game license agreement, saying that they believed it to mean that Star Citizen had to use the CryEngine and couldn't move over to the Lumberyard Engine. Now they're saying that it never moved engine and implying that they somehow have proved that. CIG clearly want to have the case dismissed permanently or with a load of conditions, and it doesn't seem that they've found common ground yet to make a settlement, but at least they are having settlement talks occasionally. It's possible the trial will instead get pushed back to the 13th of October 2020, but it looks more likely that some form of dismissal will happen. We will know more about what CIG and Crytek say on this matter in the next few weeks, because they are supposed to have CIG opposing what Crytek have recently said, and then Crytek will respond to CIG's statement there. Thanks for remaining pretty civil in the comments of my last video on this subject. That is appreciated, and I hope people can do it again. With these type of things, wild speculation can be a bit unwarranted and polarizing, and I just saw so much of that online. I saw a lot of articles based on a Reddit post, which was largely opinion and interpretation of a document, and sort of like treated some of the stuff that Crytek had said as fact, such as they've proved that CIG are still using the CryEngine and they haven't switched over to Lumberyard, which I think is probably just demonstrably untrue, or at least misrepresented. Anyway, as I'm not a lawyer and I had a good rant and shook my I reckon opinion fist at you for 10 minutes, you are also entitled to comment with your opinion. All the links to the documents and the docket and the law cases and previous videos and stuff I will chuck down below so you can follow them and read at your leisure. I hope this goes at least some way into clearing up some of the misunderstanding out there, if there is any. But feel free to tell me what you think in the comments below. You may totally disagree with me, but as I've understood that and read that, that's what it seems to suggest and mean to me. But yeah, feel free to disagree with me in the comments below. Whatever. More on this as it develops. Every month we have a ship giveaway for January 2020. It's for an Anvil Arrow and Star Citizen game package. Just comment on any of my videos made this month to be in for a chance. More details in the description below. Oh, it's time to shill. If you're looking for a VPN, then consider NordVPN. They have many advantages over free VPNs, but are incredibly cheap, and I use them and can recommend. There's Shadow as well, which is an alternative to owning your own gaming PC. They give you a sort of Windows 10 environment focused on gaming, and it leverages the power of your internet and their cloud so that you can stream it to any device or other PC or laptop or phone or whatever. And you can now order systems with varying scales of hardware for up to 4K gaming. And as always, it works fantastically well with Star Citizen. It's an extremely affordable way to get access to a high-spec PC. Links below to Shadow and Nord, and make sure you use the code BoredGamer to get a discount. Thank you very much for watching, and if you want to support my channel further, consider becoming a Patreon or YouTube member via the join button, or sharing my videos, or liking and subscribing. Take care, and I'll see you in the verse.